Fun stuff. Forensic psychiatrist Andrew Russell Kaufman, whose medical license is going to probably expire this year. He might renew it. And who had his medical license suspended in another state for all sorts of random stuff. Makes assertions these days and keeps playing preaching to the choir and playing to the audience, fan service mode, about coronavirus, COVID-19, exomes being what the virus is, instead of them obviously being a virus you can test under scanning electron microscope or just detecting the fact that it will infect, and claiming it's 5G reaction your body makes what we call coronavirus. Now, this very much plays into the minds and hearts and souls, the dark and evil souls, of anti-vaxxers who want every single virus and disease on the planet to be something that they explain instead of medical science. Because they need that, because their argument has no merit if medical science actually works. And this includes the decision to proffer the idea that germs don't cause disease. And then they bring up all sorts of random claims, and it just gets dumber and dumber. Now, this guy is a forensic psychiatrist who used to work on the abnormal psychology of criminal behavior. In fact, his entire existence was mostly about whether or not certain laws would get in the way of him making a living doing this, working within the legal system, being a professional expert on mental problems with people who would be incarcerated or need to be monitored. Patents you can look up. Now, I'm going to read some of the titles of the videos I posted because of his behavior and his emphasis that he added in his life and times. The first one I'm going to bring up is he's a forensic psychiatrist making the claim that I'm discussing with viruses, which is patently false. There's no reason to believe it because there's too many studies of viruses, including viruses that are large enough to be visible under a microscope. Meanwhile, there's no evidence your body makes something that would act like this except for an inflammatory response, which is something that is real. We do have that. But you can have a non-inflammatory response and have a virus, and it's testable. But again, I wish to believe something else, therefore I will ignore facts. Okay, fine. Next, here's a fun one. Red flag law helper. He was in favor of red flag laws. He studied abnormal psychology and made recommendations for deciding what personality types should be put on the red flag lists. Or not, you can decide. And also, the other one that keeps coming, there's 2 or 3 of them now, actually more than that, like Jennifer Daniels and that sort of thing, that I get asked about. But here's a lovely little bit of imagery that you're going to have to let sit in your craw. Being involved in a patent for a suicide detection system, electronic monitoring bracelet-like thing you'd give to a person who's a criminal or suspected criminal to put them in e-jail. This could involve being worn around the neck, a collar. And it's supposed to detect vaguely in the patent the person's behavior and movements. It's mostly about where they move around the room, so it's tracking you constantly and uses the local cell phone system to communicate. Right there. Because it's harder to remove from here. A person might be able to get it off their hand or even squeeze it around their foot if they're willing to dislocate all the bones in their foot. But around the neck, you can be missing a foot, but being missing a neck would... John Cena! Unless you're got some really abnormal physiology or you're just ripped. I don't think you're going to be able to remove it from your neck. I wonder if it came with a shock collar. Now, I'm not just memeing this shit. You can look at the patents and you can decide whatever you want to. But the fun part is, this is I forgot what year, but it was years ago, 2012, that he was being in the news for it. Also, again, I have to bring up that his current medical licensing only lists him under the same category as homeopaths and, reflexology and that sort of thing, being a mildly legally, valid doctor. He's a psychologist, forensics. He deals with after-the-fact analysis and attempting to learn from that to find future behavior. And I should also point out, I've asserted that the guy is very likely just going online, trolling the crap out of people he thinks are going to end up being patients or subjects. And it sounds like an experiment. And then we see this, dog fence e-collar kind of looking thing going on here. So someone pointed this out, but I didn't know where to look for it, and someone dug it up. They found the patent number. So patent number US 60262B2. And you can read Upstate Online Info Archive, October 25th, November 2012, blog story about him. And it's also archived. There's a PDF version of it. This seems like pretty slim evidence, except that it references, and you're going to have to look them up separately, a couple of patents that are interesting. So again, I think the guy is just playing with a population that will, if you know how to manipulate them, do whatever you want. Number one. Number two, gathering information. Number three, I can't tell if he's just messing with them or if he's going to use it as a basis for some project. But for him to switch gears totally, it seems, and I can't find any evidence of him doing this crap before, him jumping on a bandwagon this year and messing with people, seems like he's trying to draw people out to say and do things. Well, say things. And remember, it doesn't matter if a rule is made into a law or something like that after you've done something. Your previous actions, if you let them stay on the internet, can be used against you and will be. This is the new dark future you're all soaking in. Don't assume it isn't going to happen. It probably will. But yeah, seems like he was into building red flag glob-based tracking devices. But, at least they weren't on your wrist or your forehead, right?